Hello, dear hearts. I hope you are well. Welcome to Peace Today with Judith May. That's me. Oh, just breathe. Take a deep breath. Feel the air moving in and out of your lungs and the rise and fall of your chest, and just remember to breathe. Focus on your breath. The breath is life. I know there's a lot going on. Probably some folks out there feeling the weight of the moment that we're in. It's heavy for some of us, I know. It's troubling for some of us, I know. I would say it's definitely true for me at times, especially when I'm freshly exposed to the images in particular of violence. I am a peaceful spirit. I don't care for violence. And in fact, one of the things that I am going to recommend to those of us who are interested in a more peaceful world is that we limit our exposure to violence. I expose myself to very little violence, but right now, because of what's happening in the world, and particularly in the United States, what's happening in the news, I've been inclined to be more in touch with what's going on, and unfortunately have been exposed to some images of violence. But even so, I still limit myself. Like, there's certain stuff that I have not, allowed myself to take in completely, in terms of the imagery of some of what's happened in the last couple of weeks. And so I would just recommend generally that you limit your exposure to violent images, to violent words and music and things of that nature, any way that our imagination can consume something, which includes through words and images mostly. Be very mindful. Be very mindful about what you allow into your imagination, what you allow into your mind, what you allow into your energetic body. It's just important, I think, for our personal well-being. But not only for our personal well-being, it's important for the impact of our creative powers of imagination, of the contributions that we make to this earthly experience by what we choose to affirm with our attention and in our imaginations and our thoughts, with our words. I'm an interesting mix of uh, Christian, I would say. For those of you who haven't watched any of my previous videos, I was raised in a Catholic family and then parted ways with Catholicism and have found my way back just within the last 12 months, maybe even the last 6 months. I can't quite remember exactly when it happened because it was, a gradual process. And so there's this program is really like a spiritual program, and so I'm sharing some recommendations based on my spiritual understandings that are rooted both in Christianity because of Catholicism in my background and in my current experience, but I'm also opening to other versions of Christianity. Protestant, I think, is what we would call it, and learning from them. There's a lot of value from different, types of approaches to being in relationship with Jesus, being in relationship with God. I, because of the time that I spent away from the church, I also have a relationship with God that is not defined by religion. And so there's a lot of spiritual study that I've done outside of religion. And the bottom line is that I'm very much a believer in our power as co-creative beings. There is a creator that created us, and one of the ways in which we are reflections of the creator is that we are also creators in this human earthly experience. So we're not like the ultimate creator, although we are one with it. We're not separate from it. We create because we share the same nature with it, but in a very, 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 very limited sense in these human bodies and on this earthly plane. But at the same time, we do have power, and I believe in the power of peace, and I believe that the definition of being peaceful is being full of peace. If we want to have a peaceful experience, we contribute to that as creative beings in a spiritual sense by being peaceful. Human beings means that we have to be, or we have the choice even to be. We have the free will to be, to choose to be a thing or not. And we can choose to be peaceful. We can choose to create a peaceful experience, but it requires that we be that peace, that we be peaceful, meaning full of peace. And if you're full of peace, then there's no space for the opposite of that, which is violence. I'm going to let Hollywood know that if you have a gun on the copy of your movie, I'm not going. I won't be there. I don't watch TV and movies with guns to the extent that I can. Very, 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 very little, which means there's a lot that I don't watch. So I'm not desensitized to violence in the way that a lot of people in our society are. And so I'm trying to be mindful of the time of these videos. I'm new to YouTube, so thank you for being here with me during these early days of this process as I'm adding commentary to the production, like watching the time. But anyway, I am wanting to just come on very regularly and speak to the topic of peace, but also love and faith and hope and wisdom and all of the good things, compassion, kindness, patience, all of the values that we're supposed to hold and embody as believers in Jesus, followers of Jesus. But I want to be inclusive and say that you don't, while I do believe in Jesus and I encourage others to reach for the light right now in the darkness, I've learned that in my lifetime that what do they call it? These dark nights of the soul. I've been through, I've been through one of those at least in my lifetime. I've been through more than one in my lifetime. The dark night of the soul. The best way you can use that is to reach for the light. And in fact, life may be presenting these dark nights because it's trying to draw us closer to the light. It wants us to reach for the light. It's trying to bring us back to ourselves because we are light, because we are made in the likeness and image of the light. And we are not separate from the light. So the light is trying to get our attention right now. If you are concerned, if you are troubled, if you're frightened even, I can imagine, I can understand right now. Reach for the light. Reach for the light. And for me, the light is Jesus. But for me also, the light is just the light, the source energy of the universe that is a radiant, illuminating love that is beyond our ability to fathom. So whichever avenue, if because I understand that sometimes people have difficulty with religion, and we tend to want to sort of associate Jesus and religion, and that makes sense. But Jesus is not limited to religion, because my relationship when I left the church, my relationship to Jesus remained. But I've rediscovered it now in a whole new way. And I encourage others who feel so inclined to make that connection or deepen that connection. But for others, I want to be inclusive and say that you can still seek the light. You can still seek the light. You can still seek truth and wisdom and hope and find it. And it may lead you to Jesus, but only, as his relationship is unique to everyone. Our relationship to universal consciousness, the creator, is unique to everyone. So I think I'm just going to wrap today's video right there. I just am sending everyone my love. I'm sending everyone my love and my peace. And just remember that those are two of the most powerful energies available to us. I actually consider them forces, actual energetic forces, just based on my experience of their power. And my new way of putting it these days is that they're frequencies of God. Peace is a frequency of God. Love is a frequency of God. Or if you want to refer to God as source energy, if that's a little bit more neutral for folks, that works for me as well. They're synonymous. And so be well, take care of yourselves and one another. I love you. Till next time. Till tomorrow.